Hi everyone, Mrs. Besco here, and today I'm going to do a brief tutorial on how to use the accessibility features embedded in Windows. So let's get started. I'm going to go down to my search bar and I'm going to simply type in the words ease of access. And you can see it populates right here, and I'm going to go into the vision settings. Now, once it comes up, you can see I can change my display, my cursor and pointer. I can set a magnifier, for which will be covered in another tutorial. I can add color filters, or I can use high contrast. Narrator will also be covered in another tutorial. So with the display, what I can do is I can increase the size of the text that appears on the screen. So if you look right here within this text field, I am simply going to use the sliding scale, and you can see that as I move it, it increases the text. This is a great feature, but keep in mind that if you increase the size of the text on the screen, you are kind of committing to it. The easiest thing to do, if you just need some magnification periodically, you don't need it all the time, it might be easier to simply use the hotkey command, for which is a keyboard command. It's Control and the plus sign pressed simultaneously. That will increase the size of the material and the text on the screen, and then you can simply press Control minus key simultaneously to make the text appear smaller on the screen. So although I do like the text being bigger on the screen, I typically would use the hotkey command to achieve that. But it is an option here in the display setting. All right, and again, we can also make everything bigger on the screen. Right now it's at 100%, we can do 125%, but again, that could be achieved by simply doing a hotkey command, Control plus or Control minus, to increase and decrease the size of the content that's on the screen. It gives you a little bit more control when you're using the hotkey commands. Okay, like I said before, we're going to cover magnifiers during the next tutorial, so let's go to the cursor. So here, the pointer, you can see I actually have it increased a little bit. If I want to make it larger, I can simply use the sliding scale here. You can see just how large you can really make it. It can actually get bigger than this too. Also, I can add some color to it. So here it's yellow, I can have a magenta color, a fuchsia color, turquoise, or I can do a reverse where it's just a black pointer. This is if I was doing reverse polarity, where I would have it a white background or a white pointer with on a black background. Or I can simply go the traditional route with just a outline pointer in black with a white filling. So that is one option. I'm going to simply scale it down to my preferred size, for which is 2. And the other thing that I can do is I can increase the cursor size. So the cursor is nothing more than that little blinking light that we're always looking for, that little dash. So we know where we're inputting information, right? So if we're in a Google Docs or Microsoft Word, we're always looking to see where that little dash, that little cursor is blinking. So we're putting the information in the right location. So if you look right here, you can see this is the cursor, and we can increase that thickness by simply using this scale. So it's a little bit more pronounced on the screen. So that's an option. Next is the color filter. So with color filters, we have 2 types. We have a grayscale color filter, but then we also have a high contrast. You can't use both simultaneously, so it's either one or the other. So with the color filters, it's primarily a grayscale. So let's take a look. I'm going to turn it on, and you can see I have a black background with gray and a little bit of off-white, it's not bright white, text. So you can turn this on. This will certainly cut down the glare that you're experiencing from looking at the computer screen. By having a reverse background where it's a black or a gray background will help control eye fatigue, feeling eye strain, or headaches when you're on the computer for an extended time. Now let's take a look at the grayscale. This is what the grayscale looks like. Okay, so again, it looks a little bit more traditional with the white background, but just a little muted in gray. And then here we have the reverse colors. Okay, now I'm going to simply turn this off, and I'm going to go to high contrast. Oh, another important thing I want to mention with the color filter, if you do use the color filter, it will alter the color of any image on the screen. So you will not get what the image actually looks like because it does alter the color scheme. You will not get that if you use high contrast. So now let's take a look at high contrast. So I'm going to turn this on. Just wait a moment. Now you can see we have a black background with white lettering, but there's no gray. It's just black and white. But I can also change the color of that text if I choose by simply going down here to the white where it says text, this white block, and I can pick any color here that I want, and it will simply change that text to that particular color. So you can truly customize it to meet your needs. Now, if I go to this drop-down menu, I can do different high contrasts. So here is ones that are already created and embedded. So this has a green text. Let's take a look at high contrast number 1. That has the yellow text as opposed to just white text. So it's a combination of white and yellow. But again, you can also simply customize it by clicking on the box and choosing the color of your choice. Now, when you are in high contrast, the pictures, the images that you do see on the screen will not be altered. So it will be the true color of that image. Now I'm going to turn off high contrast just for the sake of this video tutorial. Okay, and I am going to go into Google Docs. Within Google Docs, you have a feature called voice typing. This is another great feature that you can utilize for speeding up in how you will do your work when you're at the computer all day. Now with voice typing, what it does is it will type whatever you say into the computer. Please keep in mind, you need to have a microphone in order for this to work. So I'm simply going to go to Tools. Again, this is within Docs, Google Docs, and go down to Voice Typing. And you're going to see this microphone. When I turn on my microphone, it turns red, and I have to allow Google Docs to access my microphone. This is a test to see if my microphone is working, period. Now, I had to click on my microphone in order to turn off voice typing. But what you'll see is that it did type exactly what I said. Now, I'm not sure if you caught it, but I had to tell it period at the end of my sentence because it doesn't know punctuation, so you have to tell it. But it knows if you say punctuation, not punctuation, but a period, a comma, a question mark, it will simply add that as you say it. So you don't have to go in and make corrections. So this is voice typing. Now, another feature that you can take advantage of that's embedded in Google Docs is to change the background color of just the page. So to do that, simply go to File. I'm going to scroll down here to Page Setup. And then once in Page Setup, I'm going to go to Page Color. And now I can pick a color that's a little bit easier on my eyes and click OK. And now you can see I have a blue background. So if I was writing something extensively and I'm very light sensitive and I'm trying to control glare, but I don't really want to use that high contrast that's embedded in Windows or the grayscale, this is my workaround for using a color filter without doing it to the entire computer. It's just limited to Google Docs. So, but keep in mind, before you submit this to a teacher, you do need to go back into File and go down to Page Settings or Page Setup, and then click on Page Color and select white. And the reason why is because if your teacher was to print out that document for review, it would actually print out in that blue. So it wouldn't be a white page anymore. And that's an awful lot of ink to use. So just be courteous and simply turn it back to a white page before submitting it. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, you know you can always shoot me an email. I'm always happy to help.